right. All right. I think we're coming on live. Hello, everybody. Welcome to another stream for Chinese Medicine Podcast. Hope you're doing well. Turn that heater off so it doesn't make a sound. Hope you're doing amazingly well. So today I'm going to be answering some questions. I've got questions here from people that have asked them and some exciting news about what's happening with the channel. I'm just going to make sure everything's working because, as usual, I'm doing everything myself, doing the video, the audio, and the question checking. So hope you are doing amazing. Things have been very busy for me lately. I've been to China at the start of July, and I come back to Perth where I live for a couple of days. Then I went to Brisbane for a weekend for a course, and then I just come back. I've just on the back of having the same teacher that was here to do the course come to Perth to do some stuff here. Have a holiday in Perth really, and then we filmed a podcast episode, so that's fun, and that will be coming out soon. So there's lots of exciting news. Just going to wait and see who's going to jump into the stream to see if there's any questions off the bat. Make sure this is working properly. Let's have a look. Double checking. Yep, it's live. That's good. Oh, that's an ad. Getting playing my own ad. Okay, great. The audio's good enough. That's loud enough. So what's been happening? I've got a really interesting video that I'm going to share with you soon. I haven't edited it yet because of all that stuff I just said I've been doing. It's been a crazy busy time. And I'll share that with you a little bit later in the stream. So I'm going to just start off the bat with answering some people's questions because I've been away. There's been so many questions here. And I don't do these streams that often now, so I guess maybe people aren't notified as well. Like I don't know what happens there. If you don't use it, you lose it. Maybe. So come on into the stream and have fun, and feel free to ask your questions and have a chat as we go through. So it's 6:45 p.m. in Perth now. It's probably the morning I think in the UK, and it might be like 6 a.m. or something in the US. So wakey wakey the world. Let's have a look. I've got some questions here from people asking just from the channel. So here's an easy quick one. Someone asked about varicose veins and spleen qi deficiency, and they just said, and that was off the back of a video that was about spleen qi deficiency. And they said, varicose veins also belong to spleen qi deficiency. Is that right? Thank you. Yes, technically in TCM, they do belong to that. And it's seen as like a more severe form of deficiency. In TCM, they use this term called spleen qi sinking. So it's like this concept of like the spleen energies holding the organs in their place. Whether you follow that concept or not, I mean, in terms of there's like in classical Chinese medicine, probably don't think it's the spleen qi as such, but there's still this concept that yang or qi is holding organs in its place. And how you would go about tonifying the spleen qi with diet is certainly going to support the yang of your body. It's going to support the fundamental functions of what's supposed to be happening, and that will help that process. It's certainly something that is probably easier to prevent it getting worse than actually treat it with diet and lifestyle. I have seen people do acupuncture for varicose veins in clinics, and there's a different strategies that are kind of used. It's like specifically needling the veins even, and sometimes letting pressure out of the veins. So it's much more of a physiological treatment, as in, you know, there's Western medicine treatments that are done where they actually strip the veins, they're taking the veins out, that kind of stuff. With acupuncture, there are procedures that are done that like literally take the pressure off the distended veins. So it depends on how bad the varicose veins are, how much is kind of there, and you know how much blood is pooling up, how distended, how, without getting too gory, how purpley they kind of look. So that's one question. So the answer is yes, it does belong to that category of deficiency, spleen qi deficiency. Doing the spleen qi deficiency promoting diet, like treating that with diet, would certainly help it. And you probably need to go down the path of more yang, tonifying yang, than just tonifying spleen. Cool. So it's about that raising qi, that raising energy. Just checking everything's right here. So hopefully everyone's doing well, and you've been, doing well and enjoying life as life goes on. That's just me filling in the space while I look for the next question. The next question we're going to talk about is, someone has said this: I'm just starting out on my healing journey with Chinese medicine. So glad I found your channel. I suffer with constipation, and I've been told that I'm cold inside, and I'm taking a warming formula. I used a tanning bed last week, and I got burnt. I hope this doesn't sound weird, but could have that made me more colder inside? So let's assume that the herbs are warming, and that's what they are doing. Then taking warming herbs shouldn't make you colder inside. There's always a process that goes on in your body after when you're taking herbs or doing treatment with acupuncture or something like that, where it takes time for things to work. But usually, like, you'd expect things to, like, sometimes I've given patients warming herbs, and they might notice a difference straight away, like even within a few days. If they've got freezing cold hands and they take warming herbs, their hands will like literally get warm within a couple of days for some people. Now, for some people, that doesn't happen at all, like as in it doesn't happen straight away. It takes time, and maybe they don't have the freezing cold hands, but they just have other symptoms. Technically, the longer you've had something, the longer it takes for results to happen. Like you've had something a long time, it unfortunately takes longer to treat it. But what's happened here? Why is your skin burnt? Like, you've obviously gotten more sensitive to sunlight, to the UV rays. Now, there could be something in those herbs that's made your body sensitive to it. So there are people's skin does react to diet and lifestyle, but I sort of kind of really doubt that. When I say lifestyle, I mean like things you ingest, right? So I shouldn't have said lifestyle. I mean like, supplements and diet. Like I did a bit of investigation when I was doing carnivore diet, that a lot of people anecdotally report that they don't burn as often or as easily when they've been only eating meat and not eating any other foods, right? So obviously carnivore is a very restrictive diet. So it does change your skin's ability to get burned. So there possibly could have been something in the herbs, like that might be something to look at all the ingredients that are in the herbs and just do a little bit of research and see, is there something like that? Now, there's no formulas that I know of in Chinese medicine that are known to have that as a side effect. And so I'm not saying that definitely, just got to get my water. I'm not saying that definitely was the case that's happened there. But yeah, it's an interesting thing, right? So you've taken these warming herbs and then you've gone in a tanning bed and you got burned. I mean, the other questions to ask, I'm sure that you have thought this already. I'm not trying to insinuate you're not a smart person, but perhaps the tanning settings weren't as they normally were for you. Maybe they had turned it up more than normal. Hopefully the amount of time was the same, and you've done the tanning bed before, maybe, or if you've never done it before, that's another variable that's in the equation. So yeah, the answer is possibly herbs could have made your skin more sensitive. Like, we know that foods can make you more or less sensitive, but it generally with foods, like I only know this from that research I said I did on carnivore diet, was that it takes a while. It doesn't just happen after a week of doing it. So it's pretty bizarre that you've taken the herbs and you've only had the herbs for 1 week and then that has happened. So it'd be interesting to see, maybe are there any other symptoms going on there that have, that are sensitive to sun, made your skin more sensitive. Like, maybe did the tanning people use a different thing that they normally, like, not just a different setting, but some kind of different lotion that they normally didn't use on you or something like that. So that's an interesting question. If people are tuning in here and they'd like to ask a question, you're welcome to put it in the comments. I'll answer the question. We'll have a little bit of a chat about Chinese medicine. It usually takes a little while for people to come into the stream, so I'll let that happen while I answer these other ones. for people that are clicking on here after the live. And I also haven't done lives for a long time, so maybe no one will come. I don't know if YouTube notifies people anymore. Okay, so another question we had, it was on the a personality type video that I did, the wood personality type. If you don't want to ask a question, you can always just say hi in the comments. You can always just, hi. Someone said, I'm a wood element person. This was on the wood video, so obviously connected with that. This was very spot on. I'm just reading their question, their comment. When I find when I'm not hydrated, I don't get enough. Sorry, I find when I'm not hydrated, I don't get enough sleep. My body literally starts to fall apart, and I get extremely cranky and frustrated. I definitely learned a lot and will implement the information. Thank you. Yeah, so obviously not exactly a question, but that's a great comment to make because, like, I'm not sure in that video if I really explain that well, but in my course, the self-care with the 5 elements, we kind of go through how the different elements benefit different things, different ones. So, like for instance, wood is nourished by water, and if you don't have water nourishment, the tendency of wood is to kind of dry out, and that's that whole thing you're talking about. If you don't, you're saying if you don't feel nourished. I mean, this isn't just for a wood person. This is for all people. So every one of us has these types or these aspects, these abilities, the functions, these needs. We all have them in our system, but just some are more dominant for that, and that's what makes your type. Something that is more dominant than the others, and that's really people's character, their strengths, like what makes you unique. And some people are more adventurous, and others are a bit more shy. Some people are more sociable, and others prefer lots and lots of time, alone. We all can benefit from time alone, and that's a water type of thing. Maybe even a metal thing, but particularly water type of thing to benefit from that alone and that stillness. But a person who's a water type loves doing that, would prefer to do that most of the time, versus a fire type would probably prefer to be around others, loves sociable things, opportunities to meet new people, hanging out with the girlfriends and the boyfriends or the friends of friends, like going out with different social circles, plus that loving relationship. So a fire type of person is much more likely in life to, if they were to find themselves single, they'd be unhappy, versus a water type of person probably wouldn't be unhappy. They might like to have a partner, but they're not going to be unhappy. Anyway, that's a bit of a tangent, but that's interesting. That's good that it resonated with you, because if the video is resonating with you, you probably are that type, or that's one of the dominant traits for you. So thank you very much. I like to read people's comments and hear that it's connecting with them. That's awesome. All right, someone else has commented on the mostly cooked foods. This is a great one as well. Marie, this is excellent material, lots of wisdom for me and a lot to digest. Ha ha, like no pun intended. For example, cooking like steaming is adding yang to the food, but preserving is yin. So is roasting food more yang? So this is a great question, right? Really good question, because the cooking method of what you do to the food can really adjust it, modify it, enhance it. In general, we say eat mostly warm, cooked and moist. So you want to stay away from dry. Like in general, if we think about, we want to tonify yang, we want our yang to be strong, yang, yang, yang. Okay, you want that. So wouldn't it make sense that you dry the food out, it makes it more yang? Not really, because it's going to make it more dry. Now you can have dryness in the food, but it's all about a balance. So you don't want a lot of dryness. So let's say you got a piece of meat. You cook that with water or watery methods. It's kind of easier for your body to digest, more easier than something that's drier. Excuse me. And this also depends on what you're going through for your own self. So think about it if you're sick or unwell. I'm just going to stop here for a sec, because some new people have jumped in the stream. So feel free to put a comment if you'd like to ask a question or say hi in the comments. Feel free to do that. That's good. You can do that. So, yeah, what I was going to say is that if you're very unwell or you're very spleen chi deficient, you're probably better off using moist cooking methods rather than lots of drying methods. But it also helps the variety of foods. Like, no one wants to eat I don't think no one, but stews and that kind of thing is a bit, boring all the time. So you can have a bit of a mixture. The cooking methods you want to avoid are the obvious ones, like the frying and cooking with fats that are, especially like obviously we don't really cook with trans fats, we just ingest them in maybe, what's it called? The processed food. So try to avoid that for sure. But cooking in oils, not sure why I've got this cough again. Sorry. So, lots of exciting stuff on the channel coming up. A couple of things I wanted to see whether people are interested in having this video, and I'll make it if people are interested for it, is I went to China about 3 weeks ago. So that's one of the reasons why I haven't made many videos or done much on the channel. And I was going around the herbal markets, and I was like making little commentary, a little bit of video, and also just showing what it's like there, because Chinese medicine, especially food as medicine, is so ingrained into culture. So I went into some of the big, massive supermarkets that are there, and you can see where there's all herbs and foods that you can buy to cook with in the supermarket. So if people are interested in a video like that, I might edit that up into a video. So let me know if that's something that you'd be interested in seeing. Cool. And I also just did a really interesting podcast interview with one of my teachers in Chinese medicine, in classical Chinese medicine from the UK, Laurie Ayres, and I've just finished editing that, and that'll be published in a few days' time too. The topic is really controversial, so I'm just going to wait till the video comes out to tell you the topic. But it was a good episode. It was a good. It was. I think it will be polarizing. I think people will either like it or hate it. Most people from this channel probably like it, but it's maybe going to ruffle some feathers, I'd say, for TCM, because it's kind of I'll just leave it at that. Cool. All right. So we've got some other questions to answer here. There's a guy that's I'm assuming it's a guy. There's a person. It's hard to tell from a name on YouTube, isn't it? Because they're all little acronyms. But Zach P419. Heaps of comments, heaps and heaps. So great. I'm sorry I haven't responded to them all, but like because I've been away, I just have come back and I've opened the YouTube up, and I've been like, oh wow, there's a lot of things to respond to. So a few things that they've asked about. One was on talking about dampness and grains in that video, and they're asking, he or she says, from my experience with Job's tears, millet or barley, it is amazing at helping clear dampness. I agree with that scale. Great. So that's good. Like that's a good indicator, because how do we learn about foods as medicine is to actually test them on yourself as best as you can and get that feedback. And I would always use that, advise you to use that concept of like looking at when you cook up a grain, how rich and greasy does it get, sort of thing. How thick does the liquid get versus how thin does it get? If it's thinner, it's probably less dampening, and thicker, it can be more dampening. And then it's going to totally depend on what you put in it, right? And then this person's also said that they were really they got the Healing with Whole Foods book, and that's been very helpful. So that's awesome. That's a big part of it. Okay, so the main question that was here from the same person says, I've been seeing a Chinese medicine doctor, and they've also recommended the Tao of Healthy Eating by Bob Floors. He says, I've got the second edition. Just got to get this closer so I can read it properly. It's a lot of a big comment here. So far, it's a recipe with 100 grams of wild yams, 50 grams of Job's tears, 10 grams of sticky rice, and 800 mils of water, which has been amazing. Now, the only tricky part is maintaining it. Lol. I did it for a month and a day. I did it for a month, and by day 8, my tongue was red. But I still have teeth marks. Removing coffee and milk with my coffee has been proving more challenging than I thought. Oh, that's nice. I just read the bottom of his comment where he says, but this woman and this channel has been a godsend. I really appreciate her. So that's lovely to know. Um, a couple of things I'd recommend for you if you're going to cook congee like that. There's a few different ways you can go about it. So ultimately, the best way is the fresh way, right? I was at a colleague's house like when I was in Brisbane, and she showed me this tiny slow cooker that she bought from, I don't know, IKEA or Aldi or something. It was a really small one, and she was like, "Oh, I make this every day for my congee." She's, just lives by herself with a housemate, but a housemate doesn't eat the congee. And I thought that's a really great idea. Just get a tiny, tiny pot. I'm sure you can find one on Temu. Everything's tiny on Temu. And you do it the night before, so you put all the ingredients in. The thing I found with congee the most is you waste a lot of food. It's not expensive because you don't need much to make it, but you are wasting it because you can't eat it all. Just can't eat it all. If you make it in a big normal sort of slow cooker. So that's one option, is to try that. Okay. Another option would be to measure out all your things if you want to have that exact thing, all the dry ingredients, and put them all into little containers or little bags or something like that. Do like as a meal prep, and then in the morning or the evening or whenever let's say you make it before you go to bed, you just do that routine, every night. Another option is when you finish the congee, you make another congee, right? So you finished, as in you scoop yours out for that day, and especially if you, I don't think with this recipe you really want to slow cook it, but sometimes where you put meat in it and you really want it slow cooked, and you might want to eat that for dinner, so then you'd make it in the morning before you go to work, and then it's there when you come home. So that's a possibility. Now, to answer your question about the tongue marks, the teeth marks, I'm not sure about the tongue was red. Job's tears, wild yams. Maybe the yams are making your tongue red just because you're not used to having them. Yeah, I guess I'm not sure what colour the yams are because there's different sorts of them. And in Australia, we don't call them yams. We just call them something else. I don't even know if you can buy yams. They're just, I'm just trying to think of the name that we call them. But they're not the same thing. So I remember being in China seeing all these different yams, and you just can't get them in Australia. So it's possibly the red ones that is causing your tongue to go red. If it's just from a food, that's fine. It's not. It's like when you stop eating that food, I'm sure that the redness will go away. The teeth marks, right? The teeth marks takes a long time to change, and this is one of the things where it's seen as an indication of dampness, and this is a great example of why in classical Chinese medicine we don't look at the tongue as a diagnostic indicator in hardly any cases. Like there's a tiny amount of times we use tongue diagnosis because the tongue takes ages to change, and your symptoms might change, but your tongue hasn't changed. So let's say you had the symptoms of dampness, your tongue's all puffy and the tooth marks, great. You've done these diet things, you're like, oh, I don't feel bloated anymore. I don't have the symptoms of dampness anymore, but my tongue is still effed up. Like my tongue is still like that. What I'd say to you is don't worry about your tongue. Follow the symptoms, follow the changes that you've done there. Like if that's changing how you feel. The biggest change that you'll notice from dampness is probably your bowels. Like your bowel movements should be properly formed once a day, easy to come out, no sticky, no extra wiping, that kind of stuff. Excuse me. Yeah, so that's that. So if people have a question, they can feel free to ask a question in the comments. Ask the question in the comments as you feel free you would like to. So that's a great example of something where you've made the good changes, you've seen some results, but your tongue hasn't changed. I wouldn't worry too much about the tongue. And now he's saying the milk in the coffee, right? Look, it's a struggling one, I think, because there's I love milk in coffee too. I've found that A2 milk helps a lot versus other milks. I'm not a fan of these replacement things that they're not milk, like almond milk, oat milk, all this other stuff, because in order for them to taste anything half decent, they have to have a lot of other stuff in them to make them good. So I would think you are best off redesigning your tastes to suit something else, like herbal tea, drink tea, maybe try black coffee. Just try get used to it, like you're saying. That's what you're going to do. Right now, this same person, I'm answering a few of his questions or her questions because they've put a lot on the channel, and I missed answering them all. So I'm going to read this one out now in a sec. Okay, so here goes. I've been taking Qingdan Hua Jie Pian, Choco Wei Pian, and Liu Wei Di Huang Wan for damp heat in the lower jiao, spleen qi deficiency, and kidney yin deficiency. So first off, you need to you need to watch the video that I'm going to put out with my teacher. Even though it's on menopause, I'll give you that little hint, but it's also about yin deficiency. And that might help answer some of the questions, might help fill in some of the gaps here for you. So he or she says, those have been those have been good, but a huge game changer has been the Job's Tears for me. And I love how you said not processed grains. I think in the US, many are processed, and you've got to know where to look. Yeah. I was talking to a friend of mine when I was in China, and he used to be a baker by trade. And he was talking about how people don't know that grains have, and I didn't know this either until we were having this discussion, that grains have actually been changed now, where there's a little part of the outside that's been taken off, so that it's like they're grown genetically without that, just so that it's easier to process into bread and wheat and things like that. And that's a key part of the health of that grain. And if you don't have that, it's very hard to digest it. And that's part of, it's just mad how they're changing our food. So I got to get that part of the story right. But I think people get the idea that they have changed those grains. So yeah, you've got to go and find that stuff as well to get the right grain, the whole grain. So this person's saying, yeah, I'd love to know your thoughts. Well, these are my thoughts. Chinese yam and koik seed porridge, 100 grams of yam, the koik seeds, that's the Iran, sticky rice, 1 to 2 tablespoons of honey, optional. So they're boiling the yam, the Iran, the koik seeds, and the sticky rice until it's a porridge consistency. Took about 1 or 2 weeks to eat it without sugar or honey. So did baby steps, and that's a great way to do it, right? And I would normally suggest people to do that. So if you're craving sugar, you're used to eating sugar, and you're not the sort of person, or you're not in that mode of thinking, I'm just going to quit it now, I'm just going to stop, cold turkey, hold up, that's it, no more. If you can't do that, do what you've done here. That's perfect. Like, you just gradually decrease it down. So you start with a little bit of honey, or he said that I'm not sure if it's a guy or a girl, sorry, but first said rock sugar, then first rock sugar, then honey, then no additive, right? So they say it's crazy. I feel like I'm cleaning my tongue. My coffee was tricky. I changed dairy to coconut creamer, and hopefully eventually to reishi mushroom creamer. Okay. Then changing coffee to acid-free coffee. Then I stopped drinking muscle milks and cut back on cheese. I love your videos. They've helped me so much, and I appreciate the quality and the funny perks. Oh, the funny parks and recreation clips. Yep. One thing that's really helped me was, of course, you explaining all of this, but then it felt a bit overwhelming on recipes to use. I'd love a video on easy and simple recipes. Yeah, so I should do more of that stuff, right? Recipes of how to actually make these things. Yeah, I mean, if you can follow a recipe, The Healing with Whole Foods is one of the best books to get. Yeah, I'm one of these people that prefers to watch someone. So I would rather watch a video and watch someone cook it up than actually read the book and do it. Sometimes when you watch someone cook it up, it feels like, oh, I know it's going to turn out because I can see how they've turned it out. Yeah. And one of the recipes I would recommend, I used to eat this quite a lot for dampness when I was younger, is a recipe. It's in the Bob Flores book called The Book of Juk, and it's also in The Healing with Whole Foods. It's an azuki bean brownie recipe, and it's using carob powder It's using azuki beans. You boil the azuki beans in something sweet, so in apple juice is a common way, and that naturally makes them sweet. But what you'll find is your palate will kind of adjust to it, and you can add stuff like goji berries into that. So I used to make that back in the day when I'd go to meetings with people and bring these things out, and they'd be like, "What are those weird berries that you've got again?" No one knew what the goji berry was then. Now everyone knows what goji berries are. So how times have changed. So that's really great. It's great feedback to see that it's helped you and things have gotten better for you. So that's awesome. So I just wanted to take a little bit of time this evening. What's the evening for me? To answer some questions that I've meant to catch up on, and to give you those announcements about what's going to be happening on the channel. So if people watching this in a retrospect would like to get would you like me to make a video about my time in China, because I did film some stuff there and I can edit all that into it. I actually had this terrible cough when I was there, still lingering on from when I'd left Australia, that had sort of come back because of the weather. So hot and cold in the humid and hot and the aircon. So I went on this little journey to find these herbs that I needed, and then I had to literally boil them up in the hotel kettle. So that was an interesting experience. I could make a video about that. So I might put all that together, and that'll be interesting if you'd like to do a little tour of a Chinese herbal market. That's where we were in. I was in Changsha. I was in Guangzhou. I was also in Ningbo, but I didn't do much in Ningbo except boil herbs up in the kettle in the hotel, because we were just only there for one day, and then we had to move on to the next city because we were doing a lot of stuff. But yeah, all right. So life's good. If you're interested in learning more about Chinese medicine, particularly for self-care, the course that I've got is available. Heaps of people have bought that course, and it's been great. Thank you. I just want to take the time to thank people for their support, because it supports the channel, it supports me, and that's great. And so that's available for you. The link is in the description for this in the description for this live. So you can get the free personality test that I've created, and you can find out more about who you are in Chinese medicine from a character strength, character trait sort of aspect. And you can also, that test is a part or available as part of the course, but you can also learn about the personality types and the traits and the things you can do to benefit each of those things in your own life. So we all have wood, we all have fire, earth, metal going on in our life. Excuse me. And we're all it's all part of our cycle, part of our life. So good. All right. So I'm probably going to leave it there. That's enough talking from me. And if you have a question, you can ask it here, and I'll probably answer it in the next live stream, I guess. I don't know whether I'm going to do these again or not do these. It's very hard for me to commit to a time because life is busy. I think I'll do it regularly at this time, and then so henceforth it's the live streams aren't that populated because I don't do them that often. But I wanted to change that. I haven't been able to. So I'll just keep on doing the videos as I do them, and that's going to be good. But I do like the interaction. I do like having interaction with people, so I guess I've got to pick a time and stick to it to make a live stream. Awesome. All right. Well, I hope you're doing well, and I'll see you again on another video another time.